Alright, here's the cast. Me, 24 female, Chase, 22 male, and is Maggie's brother. So last month, I get notified from a mutual friend that Maggie, an old friend of mine, had passed, and they were preparing her funeral. They asked if I wanted to go since I was her friend, and I of course said yes. Her brother and I used to be friends but haven't talked in a long time. The funeral comes and I'm sitting in the church waiting for everything to start as people arrived. I'm sitting alone close to the front and Chase sits next to me. He's crying and I try to be there for him and comfort him the best I could, while also trying to process my grief. He leaves my side and goes up with his family when it started. But I can see he keeps eyeing me, which makes me a little uncomfortable. But Chase has always been an awkward kid, so I dismiss it. Big mistake. After the funeral wraps up and everyone is starting to file out to head to her burial at the cemetery, Chase comes up to me as I'm standing away from everyone waiting for my ride to the burial. He starts with casual talk. I know she would have loved you being here. And I miss her. You know, the usual stuff said between friends. Then it starts to make an awkward turn. I missed seeing you. I paused, but I dismissed it, just awkwardly nodding and saying it back to avoid the awkward silence. He's an awkward guy, so I shrugged it off. Then he leaned in and attempted to kiss me. I immediately backed away from him and stared at him in disbelief. What the hell are you doing? What? Did you just try to kiss me? He huffed and walked away angrily, saying you could at least comfort me at my sister's funeral. I stepped forward and stopped him. At this point, I got a few side eyes, but I was angry. I'm married, why would you even try that? I will comfort you, of course, but trying to kiss me? And at Maggie's funeral? Whatever, he's not even here with you. Some husband he is. He snapped, and he walked away to his parents' car. I stood there in disbelief and internal rage until my ride showed up. I told her what happened and she was in about as much shock as I was. We went to her burial, while Chase angrily stared me down. Then I asked her to drop me off at the church afterwards because I was going home. After I got home, Maggie's mom messaged me and berated me for leaving early and hurting her baby's feelings. I tried to explain what had happened and that he continuously shot glares at me. But she didn't listen, hung up on me, and blocked me on everything. I visited her grave a week later and grieved with my husband. Now I keep getting angry messages from her other kids and a few of our mutual friends. I'm really starting to question if I should have stuck it out and stayed for the rest of the memorial, or left when I did. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole? Now the top comments. Not the a-hole. He touched you without consent. He made it uncomfortable, etc. Honestly, you need to message his mother and firmly state that you refuse to apologize for leaving after her son tried to kiss you without your consent or want, and then tried to dismiss it first as your duty to comfort him, and then as no big deal since your husband wasn't attending. And be sure all the other friends and family that have been harassing you get it also. Yeah, they will likely still think you're a total B and an a-hole and never talk to you again, but at least the truth will be out. Not the a-hole. Wow. I'm trying to wrap my head around why Chase was using his sister's own funeral to sexually harass you when he knows that you're married. From what I can tell, I think I know where Chase got his attitude from. Like, really, dude? You got rejected by someone who's already in a committed relationship, so you go crying to your mommy? And then she blames OP for hurting her baby's feelings and ruining the funeral? No, just no. I can understand why Chase and his mom are leaving nasty messages. Chase is a creep and his mom is enabling it. But why are you getting angry phone calls from the rest of Maggie's family and your friends? I'm wondering if Chase and his mom told a different version of what happened at the funeral and are sending flying monkeys to guilt you into feeling bad for Chase. Do they know your side of events? Maybe when you speak with them again, try to tell them what really happened. Not the a-hole. This has just weird written all over it. That is not the appropriate time and place for anyone to hit on someone, even if it's welcomed. That's some Will Ferrell wedding crashes crap. Imagine if you were single and ended up kissing him to comfort him. I can't imagine that would sit well with anyone if they found out. I can only hope his mother's reaction is from being so overwhelmed with grief that she's unable to think clearly. Not intended to mean I wish that for her. What he did was creepy, and he's gross for taking advantage of a tragic situation. I'm sorry for the loss of your friend, and I'm sorry that moment to process your grief and put your friend to rest was marred by her brother's icky behavior. I, male 26, have been dating my girlfriend, female 24, for about a year now, and we recently moved in together. She didn't have a lot of furniture and such, so it's mostly mine in our apartment, including my bed, frame, mattress, sheets. I am a bit of a neat freak, and she generally is too, so we get along pretty well living together. Now, I'm not one of those guys that gets grossed out over a woman having her menstrual cycle. I've had sex with my girlfriend on lighter days with a towel down. I'll go buy her feminine products. I don't get weirded out if she mentions it. I will say though, it totally grosses me out getting on my bed though. Well, a few days ago when we woke up, I noticed a blood spot on the bed and got totally grossed out. I knew she had been on her period for 3 days already, so it wasn't any sort of surprise accident. I asked how it happened. She was upset and said she thought she didn't need to sleep with anything on. I told her that was absurd. Why would you go without wearing anything and get blood all over my bed? I told her that was irresponsible and that she needed to pay me for new sheets. She agreed to pay for new sheets, but got upset with me for getting angry and calling her irresponsible. She said that she likes to not wear anything when she can. She said she thought her flow was light and she wouldn't bleed overnight. She says I have no reason to be angry to talk down to her over something I don't experience. I said she should have been more careful with where we sleep and that it was unhygienic. Am I the a-hole for getting upset and wanting her to pay? Now the top comments. Oh my god, you are probably the biggest a-hole I have ever seen on this. I'm sorry, but this is outrageous. First of all, it would be normal for you not to get freaked out about talking about it or buying her hygiene products. Nothing to be praised. As a woman, I would have packed my bags and left in that moment because you are clearly not mature enough to be with a woman, or maybe you need to educate yourself a bit better. A woman could have her period for 30 years, and each week she has it can be different. I've often thought it was gone, and a day later, I realize it's not. You can't see inside your body and will never know how heavy or light it will be. A blood spot on your bed and you freak? I cannot believe a man would behave like this. I could have imagined how embarrassed that poor woman must be. Something she cannot control, and you embarrass her like that. I've gotten blood on the bed before and my boyfriend has never batted an eyelid. I actually cannot believe what I just read. As a 30-year-old who has had her period since she was 9 and as a result of medication has what is called spontaneous bleeding, I would beg and beg my uterus to have a schedule, to not be heavy, to please let me work, let alone sleep in peace. My partner is completely grossed out by blood, especially down there due to traumas, which is completely valid and understandable. When my health declined, I bled through everything. Everything. Nothing would work. I would feel disgusting and would hide the sheets because I knew they didn't like it. They found me in the middle of the night crying in the bathroom, like a few days after the diagnosis, and they asked me what I was doing cleaning myself up because I didn't want them to see. They just held me and got me cleaned up, told me that I would never be disgusting to them, and they were there for me. They stayed up with me every day and took care of me since. Update. I obviously see that I was a prick for being condescending towards her and not being sensitive to her embarrassment. I told her I was going to replace the sheets myself. She got upset again, saying she didn't want to financially burden me every time she could potentially have a leak, and that washing them was good enough. I told her I obviously just have a weird phobia with it that I need to work through. I did ask her to wear products every night until she knows it's gone, and she called me ignorant and had no right to suggest how she handles her period. She's coming to get her stuff to stay with her mom, so it feels pretty over. I'm sure many of y'all will be happy to hear. Second update. Yup, she says it's definitely over. I tried taking what some of you said about understanding that the flow fluctuates and all that, but she said the damage was done. I, 22 female, went on vacation with my immediate family last summer. We rented out a beautiful beach house and spent a whole week there. I am naturally shy, so I had an ankle-length sundress that I wore when I wasn't swimming or sunbathing. I had a great time at the beach, but my mom was fuming the whole time and refused to tell anyone why. When I got back from vacation and was packing up to go back to college, she busted into my room and demanded how on earth I would think it was okay to dress like that in front of my brothers and dad. She said that I was mooning everyone on the beach and that it was embarrassing for her, and that if I dressed like that when I was a kid, she would have locked me in the hot car. I was flabbergasted. My bikini was a scoop neck sports bra style, and the bottoms were the cheeky kind. It wasn't like it was a triangle and a thong or anything. The only explanation I could think of was when I got flattened by a huge wave and walked away with a wedgie. But that happens to everybody at some point or another at the beach, right? I calmly told her that I was an adult and could wear what I wanted, and I apologized that it made her uncomfortable. My sisters were wearing them too, and she didn't talk to them about it. Plus, the idea that she would think wearing a bikini around my brothers and dad is wrong really made my skin crawl. This seemed to tick her off even more, and she accused me of trying to seduce my brother-in-law by wearing a two-piece. Note, he wasn't even on vacation with us. He was out of state. She then said if I didn't promise to wear a one-piece bathing suit, then I wouldn't be allowed to attend any future family vacations. I said okay and walked away. She recently brought it up again, and it made me really rethink the whole situation. I get that it might have sounded like a simple request, and that I can dig my own grave by refusing to do something as simple as change a swimsuit. But my mom has bullied me for my appearance since I was in elementary school, and controlled the things that I wore and ate so strictly that it gave me an ED. I felt like by standing up to her, I was standing up for myself. Plus, she said all those mean things. Was I really being inappropriate in front of my family? I really didn't do anything at the beach besides collecting shells, sunbathing on a towel, and swimming. Am I the a-hole for not bending to a simple request? Now the top comments. First of all, you are way beyond old enough to have freedom in what you wear. Second, if she's implying what you're wearing is inappropriate around your male family members, either the male family members are sick or she is sick for implying that they think of your body in that way. And it sounds like the latter. I'm sorry your mother embarrassed you and has made so many unnecessary comments about your body over the years. I truly relate, and their words are so harsh in the back of your head even years later. Not the a-hole. Your mom sounds like a loon. If she persists in this line of thinking, you should start discussing it with other family members so you have some backup if she flips out again. By the way, that's not to say that there aren't outfits that are not family vacation appropriate. But even if this was an example of one, her reaction was shockingly out of line, and your bikini sounds perfectly ordinary. One other thing, and I hate to point this out, is there any chance you are adopted or the result of an affair? Her reaction regarding your father and brothers seeing you was so different from her lack of concern about them seeing your sisters that it makes me wonder if she has a reason that she sees you differently. Not the a-hole. I'm closer to your mom's age than yours, but from what you describe, your suit doesn't sound inappropriate. Although I'm not personally a fan of the cheeky bottoms because they always work their way up my crack. Right before COVID, my husband and I went to Aruba, and I was annihilated by a wave. I had to pull my bottoms back up. Wicked embarrassing, so your wardrobe malfunction is no biggie. I'm sorry that your mom makes you feel so bad. She's the a-hole in this situation. My 30 male girlfriend, 27 female, is Indian. She moved to the US a few years back. I'm American, white if it matters. We live in North Carolina. My girlfriend loves to cook. She told me so on our first date. However, I'm not the biggest fan of Indian food. I find that a lot of spices used in Indian food irritates my stomach, and I have a very low tolerance for hot/spicy foods. She never had an issue with this and never forced me to eat anything I didn't want to. In fact, whenever I stayed over, she made me things like pancakes and French toast, and they were incredible. She is a very good cook. 2 weeks ago, we moved in together. Our place has a large, fully equipped kitchen, and my girlfriend was ecstatic about all the things she can do. I was happy to see her so happy. However, in all our excitement, I didn't realize how our food preferences can actually become a problem. You see, I didn't realize that she cooks and eats a lot of Indian food. Like, all the time. For the past year, whenever we've spent time at each other's apartments, she's always made me things like ramen, pasta, lasagna, tacos, soups, grilled cheese, etc. I figured that that's what she normally ate. I have a few Indian American friends, and they told me they don't exclusively eat Indian food at home. So I thought it was the same thing with her. Yesterday, she was super excited to show me something and dragged me to the kitchen. There, she unveiled a whole drawer of spices. We're talking 20-30 different spices of whole, crushed, powdered spices, neatly stored in glass bottles and labeled. I asked why she needed so many spices, and she replied, "To cook Indian food, silly." I didn't like Indian food, and she told me not to worry. She wouldn't force me to eat anything, that it's just for her meals, and that she'd made separate meals for me. I asked her if she could simply not cook Indian food at all in our house, because the smell is so pungent, and if she'd cook regular food instead. She told me that Indian food is regular food for her, and I'm going to have to get used to it. I insisted, and she said that she'll only consider giving up cooking Indian food if I give up cooking meat at home. She's vegetarian, because she doesn't like the smell of meat being cooked. I told her that it was an unfair ask because she never objected when I cooked with meat at my apartment. She told me that she's only demanding that I give it up because I'm doing the same thing to her. I got quite mad and told her she was being extremely unreasonable, as I need meat. I work out a lot and I need protein, but she doesn't need to eat Indian food all the time and can order takeout if she craves it. She told me that restaurants are not very good where we live and that it's unhealthy to eat takeout every day. We ended up arguing for a while and now we're not talking to each other. Am I the a-hole for insisting that she doesn't cook with spices? Now the top comments. As a person of South Asian decency, you're the a-hole, and kinda racist. The way you said regular food then list all Western dishes is very telling. So what, our food is irregular, gross, and smelly? Get the hell out of here. And the spices freaked you out. I'm honestly baffled. If it ain't salt and pepper, it's weird and makes me so angry. I go eat meat now. I regular American, grrr, no smelly spices in my regular American house. Don't you think as South Asians we look at Western food and don't have a clue why or how you could eat it? The idea of pungency only in Asian food? Like, what the hell, dude? To Asians, especially vegetarian ones, the way you consume and prepare meat is gross to us. Yeah, the smell too. And your use of "my other Indian friends eat." You know, India is a country combined with a lot of different variety, even though they're all Indian. You can live without meat. There are Indian bodybuilders and other athletes who are fully vegetarian and they manage fine. Other ways to get that protein. If you want her to live on your food, you can learn to live without meat. Fair is fair. Also, order your meat if you want it so badly. Wasn't that the solution you gave her? But let me guess, your bigoted head just doesn't want the weird-smelling food in your nice American house. I hope she dumps you for a man with some taste buds and knows what seasoning is. You are the a-hole.